For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
Hello and welcome to Capital Calculus on StratNewsGlobal. This is a weekly show that will look at issues and developments through the intersection of politics and economics, especially to unpack their strategic implications. I am your host, Anil Padmanabhan. Little over a fortnight ago, the Union Government launched Bhashini. It's the platform which promises to bring the internet in regional languages to people. The idea is to scale digital inclusion by bridging the language divide, and it will do so by leveraging artificial intelligence. It is the most audacious experiment that India has tried with the digital economy. Let's watch the launch.
अगली डिजिटल पहल है डिजिटल इंडिया भाषिणी, जिससे देश के नागरिक अपनी अपनी भाषा में ही इंटरनेट और डिजिटल सेवाओं के लाभ ले सकेंगे और एक बहुभाषीय डेटा सेट तैयार कराने में सहयोग कर सकेंगे। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से निवेदन करती हूं, कृपया डिजिटल इंडिया भाषिणी का शुभारंभ करें।
To explore the how, what and why of Bhashini, I spoke to Vivek Raghavan. He's a tech evangelist who is also an advisor to the Bhashini project and also someone deeply committed to the use of artificial intelligence for public good. To be sure though, given the sensitivity of the subject, he is here in his personal capacity and not as an advisor to MeitY. So I began with the obvious. What is Bhashini, Vivek?
Bhashini is actually a very interesting project, and the goal of the project is actually quite simple. It is that to make all services and information available to all Indians in their own language through the medium of voice. That's actually at the highest level. I think the goal of the Bhashini project is actually is to achieve that. And obviously that's a very it's a fairly small project, but it's a very ambitious goal. And to be able to kind of actually, inspire the entire ecosystem to actually achieve that goal.
What makes Bhashini stand out? Why is it a potential game changer?
The way that we want to achieve this project is actually what is really very unique. And I think that we are focusing on building, and I think one of the things that people know when you talk about AI is data is kind of critical for AI, right? And so the interesting thing is language data is a very special kind of data, and there does exist this data everywhere, and we want to actually use a collaborative way of creating and identifying data and creating open source data sets so that people can actually build this language AI technology, build open models that can then be freely used in different applications, and as a result of that, right? Because if you're talking about all products and services being available in Indian languages, it is not only government services, or it's actually something that all kinds of apps need to become available in Indian languages. And to make that happen, you really need to have, if we actually are collaborative and create this base level of both data sets and high quality state-of-the-art models available in all Indian languages, right? At the same level as they are available in English today, then actually many, many services can become available to people in a form that is, so therefore, the entire concept of you don't have to make a choice whether you speak in English and you can be digital only in that case, or then can you really access the entire digital economy within your own and experience that in your own language.
If we unpack what Vivek just told us, Bhashini is a project that will democratize the internet like never before. At the moment, the most used language on the internet, if you look at world stats, is English and Chinese, and Arabic and Spanish come a distant third and fourth. No Indian language comes in the top 10 at all at this point of time. The political economy of this is troubling. If you don't know English, you'll have trouble accessing the internet in India. Most of us would never have heard of Bhashini till about a fortnight ago. The first formal cut of the Bhashini project was included in the finance minister's budget speech of last year. Let's listen to it.
We will undertake a new initiative, National Language Translation Mission. This will enable the wealth of
You heard the thumping of the desks. The treasury benches were simply excited about the project. But the fact is, the heavy lifting on this began decades ago, in the 80s, in a very nascent way in the IITs, etc. This is unlike the rest of the world, which came to the party from the 50s. This development got a major leg up recently thanks to the convergence of three trends. One, the proliferation of smartphones. Second, the falling cost of data. And third, most importantly, the major advancement in neural processing. So I asked Vivek to what were the consequences?
Of course, it is all work. Has there is a historical link to it, and so therefore there has been work in Indian languages starting in the 80s and the 90s, and it's ongoing. But two things have, and actually, a lot of people have spent, there's a lot of work happening in Indian language technologies over the years. But what has actually changed in recent years is actually the advent of some of these deep learning techniques that have actually made the quality of results that you can get from some of these tools to improve significantly. And also there are actually clever ways of collecting data and making data useful to train AI models. And that's something that's some of the trends that have become newer. And so therefore it is certainly become easier to actually to create some of these things if you have the right focus, right? I think and we do believe that, even if you do naturally, you didn't do anything, there would be a few languages where many of these things would show up in. But in the end, if we really say that I want to have a 22 language strategy at the very least, right, to make sure that all, and officially Digital India Bhashini wants to make all of these services available at least in the 22 official languages of the country. And maybe, if we go, you could go further from there too. But I think that is really the thing that has changed, that we can the focus to actually kind of look at this as to make sure that all these things are available in all Indian languages.
Like me, you too must be wondering by now as to what is the processing required to pull off such an humongous project. But according to Vivek, not only the capability, but the graphic processing units, or what they call GPUs, exist in sufficient quantity to pull this off.
I think many of the models that are trained today take advantage of GPUs, okay, and that is something that is many of the language models require significant training using the GPUs, which for this kind of thing are much more efficient than CPUs. But the good news is that there are GPUs are available, and including, for example, we have just as an example, as there is the CDAC has this supercomputer called Paramsiddhi, which has got GPUs, which I think the Bhashini project will leverage. And then, of course, GPUs are available in the various clouds as well. So therefore, I think that there is a significant amount of compute. But there is, if you ask the researchers, they'll say there's never enough compute. But I think that we do believe that we have quite a significant amount of compute, which will help us make good progress on this mission.
Now that we know the scope of Bhashini, the big question is, when can we expect the proof of concept?
Yeah, I think in the end, I think that this project will be successful when there are actually use cases that are there that are significant, in society. And here I'm talking, personally, right? When just take a very simple use case, right? That let's say that there is a digital payment that you want to make. Can you actually make a payment to someone else using voice? I mean, so that's an example of something, right? Therefore, if anybody can actually, even maybe they don't even have a smartphone, maybe they just have a feature phone. Can they actually use something like UPI, which has been very successful, and actually make a payment using voice? So that's something that if we can actually show that is beginning to happen, that's a big place where people can actually. I mean, I also think, personally, I believe that, more and more people learn not by reading documents, but by watching videos, for example, right? So let's say there is a, how-to video in English. Now, can that how-to video become available, in every language so that people can understand what they need to do in their own language?
In the final analysis, there are several takeaways. One, this is a potential game changer which is going to completely transform India, both in potential and execution. Second, this is the first instance of AI being used on such a scale for public good. It actually opens the door for many other applications in the future. Third, the open architecture of the project allows private players to build a layer on top to create cutting-edge apps in the future. Fourth, Bhashini strengthens India's commitment to create homegrown solutions based on public digital goods. Finally, it democratizes the internet like never before. It is going to empower millions of Indians. And there's a major strategic upside. Just like the GST economically unified the country, Bhashini will be the bridge that will linguistically unify this country. Thank you for watching, but I sign off with a request. Do subscribe to the StratNewsGlobal channel on YouTube and hit the bell icon so you don't miss an alert. Do share your comments, thoughts and insights on this episode. You can reach me on Twitter at Capital Calculus. I will be back next week with another episode of Capital Calculus. Till then, stay safe.